The movie opens showing a man named Nicky Spurgeon going to a bar in New York City. There, he sees a beautiful young blonde woman with a man who seems to be pestering her. She flees from him and goes to Nicky's table to use him as a scapegoat. Her name is Jess. After a few drinks, she seduces Nicky into going upstairs to her hotel room and they start making out. Then a man storms into the room with a gun and threatens to shoot Nicky. Jess says that he is her husband. Nicky then jokes that he has cancer and Jess figures out that he's onto them. Nicky says the attempt was atrocious and explains how they should have done it if they really wanted to rob him before he leaves. Curiosity gets the better of him, and after Jess leaves the hotel, he approaches her and invites her out for coffee. Nicky tells her a story about two partners who were involved in a scam gone wrong, where one partner had to shoot the other to make it appear they were not working together. The partners in question were Nicky's father and grandfather, and one shot the other with something called the Toledo panic button. Jess begs Nicky to teach her. He agrees and says that the con is a game of focus. Outside, Nicky explains that attention is a spotlight and their job is to dance in the dark. The human brain is slow and cannot multitask. You have to get inside the victim's head and perceive things from their perspective, he continues, as he lists things from her pockets without her noticing. He wishes her luck and leaves. Nicky takes his business to New Orleans with his friend Horst and his own team of grifters. On a side note, Nicky has a gambling problem as he loses money on a horse race. Jess finds Nicky a few days later after doing her research on him. She asks him to let her join the team. Nicky agrees to try her out and instantly introduces her to Horst. He already knew Jess was coming. It's Super Bowl week and the town is packed with people. Jess joins them for a practice round. They lead her through the crowded streets, where they swipe watches, purses, and other jewelry from unsuspecting people. Nicky is impressed and she gets to join the team. They also take her to a hotel casino, where they let her in on even more of their schemes, like identity theft and credit card forgery. They even set up fake ATMs to record PIN codes. Jess meets Nicky's friend and partner, Farhad. He's involved in even more complicated schemes. Farhad basically ignores Jess's existence and asks Nicky everything about her, even if Nicky will be tapping that, because he surely would. Despite his behavior, Jess still takes a liking to him. When explaining to Jess what they are doing with the stolen data in their base and how they are splitting the profits percentage-wise, she notices a necklace she likes. But Nicky tells her that everything they steal has to be sold, so there's no proof left behind. While all the bags are checked and the money is counted, Nicky asks for a cash stack to bid on a racetrack. Nicky gets Jess a place to stay, and when she asks him for a lift, he tells her she'd better get a cab. He points out to her that there should be no romantic relationship between them. Sometime later, he comes to her anyway, and they start getting intimate. Jess asks Nicky why some people call him mellow. He says his dad used to call him that because he told him he was soft, like a marshmallow. Nicky believes that there is no room for heart in this game because it can get you killed. The night before the big game, when all the cheating is through, Nicky turns to the team and congratulates them on a record-breaking week. He sends everyone home with the usual promise to send them their cut. Horst gives Nicky the bag of money and makes Nicky promise that he will not gamble with it. Nicky promises as Jess looks on. Nicky and Jess are going to a football game. Jess mentions that she does not like football, so Nicky makes a game out of placing little bets with each other, like whether one fan will catch a hot dog or whether another will be too drunk to stand up for the wave. They see a woman in short shorts and bet on how many men will look at her. As she walks by, Jess bets 8 and Nicky bets 3. A curious man named Mr. Liyuan enjoys the game and bets 5. 7 men look at the woman as she walks by, with Jess being the closest. Liyuan suggests they place some bets on the game. Jess declines since she does not know anything about football. Nicky accepts his suggestion. They start with a $1,000 bet with Nicky losing. When Nicky wants to fold, Liyuan practically begs him to keep playing. Reluctantly, Nicky agrees and raises the bet. He loses again and gives him another stack of bills. The stakes escalate as the two keep going. After losing $100,000, Jess thrusts the bag of cash into Nicky's arms and tells him they have to leave. He takes the money, slides it onto the table, and bets all of the remaining cash on a simple high card draw. Liyuan is thrilled. He calls and draws a 5. Nicky is elated since the odds are in his favor. But when he turns his card over, he sees a 3. He loses everything their team has been working for. Jess sits down in shock, and Nicky just stands there stunned. Nicky finally has enough and wants to leave, but Mr. Liyuan goads him again. That's what you get for playing with the big boys. Nicky turns around and decides to double the bet again. He tells Liyuan that he only needs to pick any player on the field and he will guess which one. It is a seemingly impossible challenge. Mr. Liyuan thinks he's crazy and says he does not bet on crazy people, so he declines. Nicky sweetens the deal by saying Jess will pick the player. Li Yuan, much to Jess's dismay, cannot turn down free money, so he agrees. As Jess nervously looks through the binoculars, Nicky gives them one last chance to back out. Jess looks at Nicky, who seems to be begging her to take the opportunity to walk away, but Nicky tells her to pick. Jess nervously scans the players again. Suddenly, she spots Farhad, who is wearing a number 55 jersey. She grins and picks him. And to everyone's surprise except Nicky's, that is the correct answer. On the cab ride home, Nicky, now carrying a lot of money, explains to Jess that this was planned from the beginning. He knew Li Yuan was a notorious gambler, so he set things up for him to subconsciously keep seeing the number 55 throughout the day, making him choose that number when the moment was right. Nicky then has the taxi pull over while another car pulls up behind them. He instructs the cab driver to take Jess to the airport. He leaves her with her share of the money and drives off without another word, leaving Jess confused and heartbroken. 3 years later, in Buenos Aires, Argentina, Nicky is working with a billionaire race car owner named Rafael Garriga and his partner, Owens. They are in possession of a revolutionary new fuel burn algorithm that will give them an edge in the upcoming season. However, Rafael is worried that it will not be enough. Therefore, Nicky is supposed to pose as a disgruntled former employee of Rafael and sell a fake version to another team owner, McEwen, who is his biggest competitor. As a result, the competition gets slower while Rafael's team gets faster. Nicky goes to a party at Rafael's mansion. He tells the bartender to pour him water whenever he asks for vodka on the rocks, since he is an alcoholic and wants to give the impression that he is getting drunk. Nicky makes conversation with all the guests before going to confront Rafael as part of the plan. But then he sees Jess coming down the stairs in a stunning red dress, and he freezes. She kisses Rafael, much to Nicky's disdain. He approaches Jess, and she assures him that she is doing fine on her own and has moved on from the deceitful game. Nicky looks dejected and goes to get a glass of vodka. Instead, he is poured water. Another bartender had already told everyone about his problem, so he does not even get a real drink despite acting drunk on apple tennis. Nicky plays his part as the disgruntled employee, but instead of shoving Rafael, he punches him right in the face, venting his pent-up anger over Jess being with him. After Owens escorts Nicky out, he is approached by McEwen's guard and is given McEwen's credentials, inviting him to lunch the next day. While Nicky is having lunch with McEwen, he finds it hard to concentrate on the conversation. He is irritated and keeps staring at Jess, who is flirting with Rafael. They agree to get back to each other later once they have definitive proof that the fuel-burning algorithm Nicky has is real. He approaches Jess while she is away from Rafael and tells her not to trust him. She immediately turns the tables and asks why she should trust Nicky after he left her behind. As she walks away, she tosses him his wallet, hinting that her game is still on point. Nicky strikes a deal with McEwen for $3 million after the data shows that his fake algorithm is credible. Nicky spends a lot of time trying to get closer to Jess, using sneaky strategies like pretending to help an old granny who lost her handbag just so he can talk to her. Jess tells Nicky everything he wants to hear in a flirty voice. And just before they kiss, she whispers softly, "I've learned a lot since we last met. And I'd love to show you, like how I learned to play men, like I just played you." She tells Nicky to stay away from her. She is not falling for his nonsense again. As a last resort, Nicky brings in Farhad to convince Jess that she should give him a break and that he is truly sorry about what happened in New Orleans. Farhad hands Jess the necklace she had her eye on 3 years ago. Nicky finally manages to have another honest conversation with her. He tells her that he has barely worked in the past few years because nothing has felt right, and that he even turned to his father for help. Jess gets straight to the point. "What do you want from me?" Nicky says he is a different person now. But as much as Jess wants to believe that, she has a hard time trusting him because he is still a con man. Jess leaves. Later that night, when Nicky returns to his hotel suite, he finds Jess sitting beside his door. They make love. The next morning, Nicky tells her he is leaving that night and wants her to come with him. Right after that, Owens arrives at Nicky's door. Nicky tries to get rid of him, but Owens walks in anyway while Jess hides out of sight. Owens complains about the younger generation and Nicky's lack of progress on the job while pacing around the apartment like he is searching for someone. Jess escapes to the balcony where she manages to elude Owens, and he eventually leaves after setting down a package. Nicky ends up selling Rafael's real algorithm not only to McEwen, but to every other race team for the same price. He wishes them all luck and gets the same response: "Who needs luck with friends like you?" The deals amount to about $27 million in cash. Nicky receives word that he has been found out, but he hesitates to leave without Jess. With time running out, he grabs his bags and opens the door to see Jess standing there.
"Sorry I'm late."
Meanwhile, one of McEwen's guards buys unusual items from a shop. The cashier gives him a suspicious look. After a quick meal, he checks his watch, buckles up, puts on protective gear, and floors the gas pedal, ramming straight into Nicky's car. Jess and Nicky are kidnapped and taken to one of Raphael's warehouses with duct tape over their mouths. The guard reveals that he was actually a spy inside McEwen's company, keeping an eye on Nicky the entire time. Raphael tells Nicky that he knows he sold the real algorithm to McEwen for $3 million, but when he saw the $27 million in Nicky's bags, he realized that Nicky had sold the algorithm to everyone. Raphael wants to know how Nicky got the real algorithm. He grabs Jess and covers her nose until Nicky finally starts talking. Nicky admits that he used Jess and planted a bug inside her necklace. So when she returned to Raphael's hotel room, the bug intercepted Raphael's computer password. Jess starts to cry, but Raphael laughs because he knows it is a lie and he rips the tape off her mouth. Jess admits to Nicky that Raphael is not her boyfriend. She only wanted his watch, which is worth $200,000. She never slept with him and was never even inside his room, even though Raphael constantly tried to get her into bed. Jess did all of this to make Nicky jealous and get revenge on him. Nicky finally gives up and decides to tell the truth. But just as he is about to start talking, Owen suddenly shoots him in the chest, horrifying Rodrigo and causing him to leave. Nicky appears to be bleeding out while Jess cries and tells him she loves him. It looks like Nicky is going to die until Owens calmly explains that he shot him in the perfect spot to avoid the major arteries. Even though he punctured Nicky's lung, Owens drains the blood from it and brings him back to life. Owens then calls Nicky Mello, making Jess realize that Owens is actually Nicky's father. Nicky Spurgeon reveals that he was in on the scam the entire time and that they had just performed the famous Toledo panic button. The package Owens left for Nicky earlier that morning contained the real algorithm. Owens drives Nicky and Jess to the nearest hospital. On the way there, he reminds Nicky about what he once said regarding putting your heart into the con game, before adding that he will be taking all the money.
So I'm taking the money, all of it.
Jess helps Nicky walk toward the hospital entrance. Nicky grins when he notices that Jess is wearing Jericho's watch on her wrist. Jericho's watch, a small detail that says everything without a single word. Maybe this time they finally trust each other. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next recap.